Yeah, I mean I'm no expert on improv. I've been doing it for a year and absolutely love it. I fell in love with it when I went. I guess I also love that you went because you were bored. Because for me that is, I think that some of the greatest stuff happens out of boredom, right? I think sometimes if we just let ourselves not be overstimulated and we're in a like, okay, I've got nothing to do, that's when it's really exciting exploration can happen. So I think that's such a lovely story. But yeah, I mean, what I would echo everything you said. Like, as I said, I'm not an expert in improv at all, but I thoroughly love doing it. I think it is a huge permission slip. And what for me is exactly what you're saying. All of a sudden you're playing. But what I found really exciting was I went into a room with 10 strangers who I didn't know, of differing backgrounds, differing ages, differing perspectives and viewpoints and experiences. And my first improv class was it was well mixed, quite a wide range of different people. I think we had probably 6 different people from different countries represented, like it was really mixed, diverse group. And that within 5 to 10 minutes, once we got over the awkwardness of I've never done this before, this is scary thing, everybody was playing with each other. And it happened so quickly. It wasn't like, oh, after 10 weeks of doing it bit by bit and getting used to each other and feeling comfortable, then we started having fun. It was, within 10 minutes, like I started laughing and I realized like, I hadn't laughed that much. It was 2.5 hours where I laughed more than I'd laughed for a long time. And I watch comedy. I put myself in situations where I would laugh. I have funny friends. It's not that I don't laugh a lot, but that was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious, and everybody's having fun. And I think that piece where we can just say, oh, it's all in you. It's right there. It's kind of at your fingertips. It's just right now you're playing a grown-up really, really well. You're playing an adult, or, you're playing an entrepreneur, or you're playing, a consultant, or you're playing a mom, or you're playing a dad, or you're playing, whatever it is, a partner. And that's the role you've given yourself without kind of thinking about that fact. And then you realize you go into an improv class and everybody drops. They're like, well, actually, I do this in the real world and this is my thing. And they're like, okay, what is the game? There's a frog. Why is there a frog here? Oh my God, who brought Steve? Then it goes into that.
There's so much gold in what you just said. Like even the idea of how quickly you can play with strangers. And right now you have all of this explosion of social anxiety because everyone's so scared of being judged and all of these things. And the concept of improv gives you a permission slip, which I love. I'm going to steal that forever. But like, because people have a lot of social anxiety from interacting with strangers because you feel like you won't be enough, or you'll be judged for being who you are, which I always think is a terrible thing to be fearful of. And in improv, like, you realize that you can have fun with anybody. Like, you may not want to hang out with that person afterwards. You may not have anything in common, but in this environment, you can have fun with anyone. And I think that's even helped me going into like networking events or other things that would have a lot of strangers that maybe we don't have things in common, that I figured like, no, but I can connect with these human beings because we are human beings. And there's even fun in improv classes that there's always a couple nutters, which I think makes it super fun. There's always like a group of amazing people you can connect with, and then a couple people you're like, what is happening in their head that this is what's going on in the scene. Like, I did a class years ago, and there was one woman who every time she would enter a scene, she would be angry and yelling every single time, and it became funny after you realize, okay, like, no matter what scene I create, she's coming in hot. and so I have to get ready for that. So no matter what she brings to the table, I have to listen to what she's saying, but also make it make sense when it doesn't at all. And so this idea of being more fluid and malleable on your feet, I think is super helpful in environments, because sometimes we'll find ourselves in the real world and being like, okay, well, this area, this doesn't seem real fun. But I've learned maybe through improv or whomever my upbringing that like, well, I can make it fun. I can find a game in this room, and I'm just gonna fuck around, and I'm gonna have a good time regardless of what these external factors are. And I think that's the one of the toughest parts in life sometimes is like, an environment is really oppressing your ability to have fun, but you've got to overcome and find a way to create a game, even with friends. Like, it's one of my favorite things to just make a game out of anything. Like it doesn't matter if you have like a long piece of, what's it called, kitchen roll or something. Like, that can be a bat. Like, we can play a full game here. Just throw something at me and I can hit it. It's fine.